Hello and welcome to ICC Global Hosting's presentation of how to reduce your costs and boost productivity as a result of moving into the cloud. And I'm also going to throw in a little bit of icing on the cake, and we'll show you in the next 25 minutes or so how to significantly improve your company's security as a result of moving part or all of your applications into the cloud. Now, if you're looking for a productivity increase, you've come to the right place. If you, like many business executives, are looking for a sustainable competitive advantage, bear with me for the next 25 or 30 minutes, and I'll show you how you can distinctly outperform your competition as a result of embracing one or more of ICC Global's cloud solutions. If you're looking for more profits, you're at the right place. At the end of the day, the cloud will help you get to where you want to go. We're also pleased to announce 3 different solutions to cloud application challenges. We offer ICC Global Desk, which is a virtual desktop. We offer ICC Global App, which will allow you to move your line of business applications to the cloud, and your employees probably won't even know that anything different has occurred. Only your P&L, your productivity, and your sense of security will be impacted. Or to get the best of the best, we offer ICC Global Office, which reduces cost, improves profits, and will allow you to increase productivity, all at the same time. Now, back in the day when these gentlemen were selling telephones, there was no need for cloud computing or for the results that the cloud offers. Security was a moot point. All of the vital information of this company was kept in a vault inside of their office. They didn't need to transact business very rapidly because the pace of the world was very slow. And the real reason the cloud wouldn't have mattered to these gentlemen is no one else was selling the telephone. They had no competition. If you're in an industry where you have no competition, the cloud may or may not benefit you. But if you have competition, then the cloud will become your sustainable competitive advantage. Let's go back in history a little bit and figure out how we got here from the beginning. We believe that all roads lead to the cloud, and the only question is who's going to take you there. We believe that ICC Global Hosting is the best organization to help you get there because of the variety of solutions and services that we offer. But I'd like to throw you a quick curveball if I could, and help you understand that there really is an elephant in your conference room. And when it comes to cloud computing, that elephant is the fact that you're already in the cloud. If you or your employees have used any of these logos, then you're already operating in the cloud. There are thousands of organizations and applications which are accessible only through the cloud. What was once a novelty not too many years ago has become the standard, and if applications aren't available through the cloud, then they are considered second-class applications. So if you're already in the cloud, you're benefiting at one level from the productivity and profitability gains that the cloud offers. I'm going to share with you many more. You see, we find that the cloud is a game changer. And if you stop and think about it, every game changer that has occurred in every industry since the beginning of time has produced huge successes for those people that embrace the game-changing strategy. There were people at one point in time that I'm sure felt that shoeing horses would come back as a good, profitable business. Unfortunately, they didn't embrace the automobile rapidly enough. And you can go through history and see all sorts of examples of people that failed to see the writing on the wall and embrace a game-changing strategy. We believe the cloud is a game changer, and we would like to compete for the opportunity to help you move part or all of your business into the cloud. Let's take a look at some of the attributes of businesses that will benefit maximally from the cloud. If you have multiple locations, the cloud will help you keep in touch and stay in touch with all of your people and all of the transactions that are occurring at all of those locations. If you have satellite employees, the cloud is becoming a necessity to understand what they're doing to help them communicate information back to the home office and retrieve information from the home office. dramatically shortening cycle times, allowing them to serve more clients per day or per week, and allowing them to serve those clients more accurately. An example of this happened to me recently when my home air conditioning system failed. We called a service provider and he sent a technician out. The technician said I needed some parts and that there would be a price to pay to get those parts delivered and installed, but it was a sweltering hot day, so the decision from my point of view was literally a no-brainer. I signed the order on his iPad. He pushed submit, my credit card was processed, the orders were picked, and were on their way out to our house before I was able to get back onto my front porch. It literally happened that fast. Now compare the processing time and speed to satisfying a customer and putting money into the bank before the cloud. That tech would have had to have driven back to the office or made a phone call to the office, gone to the office, picked up the parts, and come back. And meanwhile, the customer was not getting the results that he wanted. That's one example of how the cloud will help you serve your clients better, faster, more accurately, and most importantly, more profitably. If you have mobile employees, salespeople for instance, or customer support people or trainers, the cloud is a necessity to coordinate everybody's activity. If your existing computer equipment is nearing the end of life, if it's 3 or 4 years old, you're encountering what we refer to as a turn cycle. You're going to have to refresh your equipment and your application software at some point in the future. This will become a significant capital expense. If you're in that window, now's the time to seriously consider moving on into the cloud, because we'll help you get into the cloud and save tens of thousands of dollars when compared to acquiring new equipment to support your existing IT infrastructure. If your company's growing, you must examine the cloud as an opportunity to significantly lower the cost of growth while optimizing the effectiveness and productivity of your rapidly growing workforce. You get a double win when you move to the cloud and you're in a growing environment. If you've experienced significant downtime because of your outdated or antiquated technology, now's the time to move to the cloud and avoid that capital expense I talked about a moment ago while helping your company become more productive. And one of the biggest benefits that I personally delight in as a result of the cloud is that no natural or man-made disaster will shut my business down. As you'll learn later in our presentation today, losing your data either through a natural or man-made disaster is a catastrophe for a business and frequently results in that business shutting down. We're going to talk about how do we get to this point in time as it applies to cloud computing. You're going to learn how the cloud works. You'll learn what the cloud means for your IT department and what would it mean for you as you move forward. As I said a moment ago, the cloud was and is a game changer. You're looking at another game changer in that giant water wheel over on the left. That water wheel was constructed by the gentleman, the Scottish gentleman, whose photograph popped into the screen. Now, because he was able to build the biggest water wheel in the history of the world, he was able to harness that energy and drive more belt and pulley driven manufacturing machines in his factory than any of his competition. The game changer was energy being harnessed to drive machines, which in turn lowered the cost of producing material. This gentleman became wealthy as a result of being the lowest price but most profitable manufacturer of railroad spikes back in the Civil War and post-Civil War days. Now, computers are following the same path of game changing. The gentleman that you're looking at on your screen had the job title of a computer. That's what he did, and that's what they called him. He also invented the machine that you're looking at, which was the world's first computing machine, which was actually a tabulator. And it utilized punch cards like the one on your screen to tabulate and compute numbers. Over time, computers got bigger. The IBM 1950s, 1960s mainframe that you're looking at is an example of how computing evolved. In those days, those machines were staffed by specialists. They were frequently housed in the basements of buildings or in separate buildings. The productivity that these machines produce was frequently isolated to a small subset of the entire company: finance, manufacturing, research. The overall impact of computing in the 40s and 50s had not yet reached to the actual employee. But as the size of computers shrank, the availability of computing expanded until these machines were actually considered moderately obsolete, and the desktop computer took over. Now, as the desktop computer took over, the game changed. And we believe as the cloud takes over, the game will change. And one of the first things you'll notice is the removal of all of these wires in your back room. Today's computer rooms are a rat's nest of wires that are eliminated as you move to the cloud. Now, a hard financial data benefit of moving to the cloud is the cost for all the square feet that you're looking at will no longer be invested to house wires. Employees can sit in that space. Other productive machines can go into that space. So instead of paying for the square footage to house wires, you can get more productivity out of each square foot of that space. Now, the cloud's operation is relatively simple. It's where files are stored, presentations are stored, videos stored, training. Everything that your company does is stored in the cloud. And because of that, it's accessed from anywhere that you can get into the cloud utilizing a laptop, a desktop, a smartphone, or a tablet. The ability to get access to information that's vital allows your employees to do more in less time. That equals higher productivity, and that drives profitability. Another benefit of the cloud is you'll never again be frustrated, as many of us have been, at creating a great presentation but leaving it on your desktop computer back in the home office and discovering that it's on the desktop after you've traveled several thousand miles to make that presentation. As I said, cloud computing is a game changer, and it will go through an evolution as all things do. If you look at humans, starting with the chimpanzee over on the left and moving through the human that we are today, you'll acknowledge that evolution is inevitable. When we compare that to the cloud, we believe that we're just starting the evolution of the cloud. The cloud will continue to evolve to be more productive, more profitable, reduce cycle times, improve profits, and lower cost. You'll benefit from the elimination of the lather, rinse, repeat phenomenon. Now, what I mean by that is every 3 to 4 years, desktop PCs and servers need to be refreshed, is what the industry calls it, but what that really means is replaced and upgraded. The same goes for the Microsoft merry-go-round, where as they announce the end of life of certain products, currently they've announced the end of life of the XP operating system, hundreds of thousands, probably millions of PCs will have to be upgraded. Someone will pay that cost. When you move to the cloud, you avoid both of these repetitive cost cycles. You see, you'll never again have a big capital expense which would be repeated 3 to 4 years down the road. You'll never again be frustrated because your data is locked in the office. You'll also have continuity regardless of natural or man-made disasters, because currently your business's continuity is only as secure as the building that your data is housed in. If the building burns down, so goes your data. If the building floods, so goes your data. If a malicious employee goes into your data and deletes it, your business could be deleted along with that data. In a phrase, we provide growth without boundaries, a future without fear. You'll be able to financially get off that hamster wheel. You'll never again have the problem of buying, incurring obsolescence, and buying again. Because the cloud offers you unique utility-like payment structure, you only pay for the computing that you need. So, for instance, instead of buying application software rent it on a per user basis. When your sales force or your workforce grows, rent some more. When it shrinks, stop paying. So very much like your electric bill, if you're not using it, you don't pay for it. You'll also benefit from the fact that when you're in the cloud, computing is an operating expense, not a capital expense. As I mentioned a moment ago, you'll regain real estate, you'll lower your electric bill, and you'll have increased security and more peace of mind. The what's in it for me, WIIFM, is operating expenses are better than capital expenses. Now, here's the real home run of the cloud. Because sales cycles, processing cycles, transaction cycles are reduced dramatically, studies have shown that the cloud produces upwards of a 33% increase in productivity. Because you're totally protected against natural and man-made disasters, you have 100% assurance that your business continuity will continue regardless of situations that may or may not be beyond your control. You have absolute scalability with on-demand utility computing. Pay for what you need. If you're not using it, don't pay for it. You'll have remote access from any device, anywhere at any time, which provides you with tremendous flexibility and dramatic shortening of cycle times. And most importantly, you'll have 100% peace of mind, and you'll benefit from the philosophy that we espouse, which is, in the future, work is something you do, not a place you go. Let's take a look at what a day in the life of a cloud-based team will look like. In this case, we're going to talk about a sales professional. Now remember, I talked about shortening the cycle time. Here's how it works. This sales professional wakes up at his or her home, and the first thing they do is they check all of their email and prep for their first business meeting while they're at home. They then get in their car and go straight to a client, not to the home office. This saves them selling time, and that time will be converted into more sales calls. And as you can certainly figure out, the more sales calls your people make, the more sales they'll close. Then they get a sale, and they enter it on an iPad right in the client's location. Now here's what happens when that iPad submit button is clicked. All of the information regarding that customer's order, their payment process, their credit card, everything that's needed to complete that transaction is sent to the home office. So the home office has the money, has the inventory, has everything that they need literally before the sales professional gets in their car to go to their next call. So they're working and delivering the results that the customer contracted for a few minutes ago, regardless of how far away they may actually be. Now the sales representative goes to the home office, back to the business office, and they start working on a PC, accessing the same files they accessed at home or they accessed in their parking lot on their iPad. But then they have to get ready for a presentation, and they go into the conference room and use a MacBook Air to access information. And if they're on vacation, they can do everything that I just talked about with any tablet or smartphone. We're providing growth without boundaries, a future without fear. So let me revise what I said earlier. I think anybody that is in business needs the cloud. The real issue is who needs it the most. Again, as a refresher, multiple locations, mobile workers, you must consider the cloud if you want to gain a sustainable competitive advantage. If you're concerned about business continuity because of natural disasters, or if you are officed in an area where hurricanes hit frequently, you must have a consideration and evaluation of the cloud. If you're concerned about legal compliance challenges, the cloud is a source of protection and security. And if you're facing major equipment turnover, you really have to get on board with the cloud. Now, one of the things your ICC certified consultant will do is walk you through what we refer to as a cloud readiness assessment. This assessment will help you and our consultant balance the issues between performance, productivity and security. One of the things that you'll benefit from as a cloud computing user is the fact that technology will interrupt your workflow far less often. The Franklin Time Management Institute published a study which showed that when a worker is interrupted from typing a letter, processing an order, whatever, that he or she typically takes 6 to 8 minutes to recover from that interruption. During that interruption or disruption, the probability of him or her making an error increases by 30%. That occurs during what Franklin refers to as the recovery time. Now, if your IT technology creates those errors, then you will have IT-induced errors, which reduces productivity and profitability. And if those errors get out and impact your customers, they significantly reduce the lifetime value of a customer, because these errors add up and eventually the customers say, I'm looking for someone else to supply my needs. When you embrace the cloud, disruptions will go away. Productivity will go up, costs will go down, profits will go up. Now let's take a hard look at the dollars and cents associated with a cloud versus a non-cloud company. Now, just for examples, I've taken a 10-user company, but these numbers scale in direct proportion to the number of users you have. So if you have 100 users, just multiply my numbers times 10, and you'll see the impact that the cloud will have on your business. But if you are a 10-user company, you have a server, network software, network equipment, desktop PCs that have to be tended to, backup issues, printer issues, and you must dedicate some value for support. And we guesstimate that the average support takes 20% of the time of somebody in these size companies. In larger companies, support is provided by full-time employees. And we also have the unquantifiable risk. But for instance, if this self-managed computer network ever suffered a data breach and personally identifiable information was leaked out for whatever reason, according to HIPAA, the fines average $190,000. So there's very significant risk associated with not being in the cloud. Now, if you take that same 10-user company and move it into the cloud, the cost for the 5 years will be $51,200. Compare that to approximately $90,000. The savings is $40,000 hard dollars. If you have 100 users, it's $400,000 over 5 years. Now this data, these numbers do not, and I repeat, these numbers do not take into consideration the proven productivity gains as high as 33% that comes about concurrent with your cloud implementation. So a question is, the cost of running your business will continue unless you change how you run your business. What is it worth to you to evaluate moving into the cloud when the benefits are, again, for a small 10-user company, $40,000, for a 100-user company, $400,000, not to mention a 33% increase in productivity. That means for every 3 employees that you currently have, you'll get the net impact of 1 additional employee without hiring 1 person. So the savings compounds, the productivity compounds, and the competitive advantage compounds. Now, one of the things that we've found is that our approach is ideal for companies that are too small to hire a full-time support person and have no budget for ongoing training of that person. They may not even have enough IT work for a full-time person to be employed. Frequently, these people tell us that they have been burned, and I use that word deliberately, by hiring people who claimed they were computer experts, but what they really were hobbyists. Don't trust your business to a hobbyist. Trust your business to professionals and experts who understand how to help a business run better as a result of optimizing the effectiveness of the IT infrastructure in the cloud. We don't want to have a break-fix mentality where the technician waits for a computer to break. What we want is to optimize productivity and profitability. As you move forward, you'll see that outsourcing your IT will improve productivity in 5 out of 6 ways and improve profitability in the same 5 ways. We believe that this is an easy decision. We will provide you with quick improvement, permanent improvement, and faster growth for your company. Stress will go down for you and your employees, and as I said, you'll earn a sustainable competitive advantage. If computers are important to your business, why not consider our cloud readiness assessment? We believe that the IT infrastructure is the foundation for a business, and we believe that a shaky foundation will produce shaky operations, and shaky operations produce frail or non-existent profitability. Turn that around and make your IT infrastructure secure, robust, and flexible. Then your operations will be secure, robust, and flexible, and your technology will move forward. Now, we'll protect you from many different cyber threats, and we found that once you're in the cloud, you don't have to worry about the cyber barbarians that are constantly trying to break into your data processing network and steal, and I use that word deliberately, data that they can resell to credit fraud crooks or to other people who have malicious intent. Most of these cyber barbarians have operated inside of the companies that they've plundered for 416 days before they were even identified. Now, these issues aren't just for the big boys. When you're in the cloud, you'll be protected from what Forbes is saying is a trend of ever-increasing dimensions. 40% of cyber attacks were aimed at small businesses. 72% of successful data breaches happen in small business. About 71% of small business owners admit to lacking confidence in their cybersecurity measures. None of those small business owners are in the cloud, I have to point out. And as many as 65% go without cyber insurance because they are not able to afford it. Symantec reports that over 20% of small businesses last year incurred a cost of at least $100,000 due to data theft. That is 1 in 5 risk or odds of you having a $100,000 loss. We protect you from that. The government says that 60% of businesses that lose their data close within 6 months. When you're in the cloud, you don't have to worry about this. None of these facts will apply to you. We do offer you traditional profit-boosting strategies, and the cloud embraces 5 of these 6. Now let's take a look at how the cloud really will work for you. I want you to grab a piece of paper, and we're going to do a running total of a few small numbers. I'd like you to write down the point value for each of the issues that I'm going to mention. Now, if your equipment is at the end of life, or if you're anticipating a major turn cycle, write down +4. If you operate on CAD, CAM, or CNC milling systems, write down -2. If you have multiple locations and satellite offices, write down +4. If you have large file images such as CAT scans or MRIs, write down -2. If you have mobile workers or a field force, add +2. If you have legal compliance issues, HIPAA, Sarbanes-Oxley, GLB, FINRA, write down +2. If you're concerned about business continuity and other disasters, write down +4. If your business is highly seasonal, where you bring in employees and then you lay them off and bring them back, write down +4. If you want to get off the technology upgrade treadmill, write down +2. If you're a startup or a corporate divestiture, write down +4. And finally, if your firm prefers operational expense versus capital expense, write down +2. If your total is higher than 5, you need to explore our cloud readiness assessment immediately. Let's get together and determine the potential that we offer you when you embrace the cloud. Thank you very much for your time and your attention, and you can email us at sales@iccgh.com. Again, that's sales@iccgh.com. Thank you very much for your time and your attention, and I wish you a very good day.